You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
100 likes in the YouTube chat and I'll buy a motorcycle. Let's get into it with the lead. What up? Welcome into a live on-location edition of Oilers Nation Everyday. We are coming to you live from the motorcycle portion of the Edmonton Motor Show with our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant and Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. It is an absolute vibe down here. I will have more on that in just a second. First off, the show always comes to you from the Sports Closet Studio. Sports Closet Studio is not so much a physical place. It's more of a state of mind. And yes, we packed up the Sports Closet Studio, brought it on the road, from jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger. You'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. The show is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app, use the code NATION to get in on the action. And tonight there should be some action. There should be some interesting props. The Oilers are taking on the San Jose Sharks, and it is an opportunity to clinch a spot in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And listen, if you would have told a lot of Oilers fans at the start of the year, hey, you're not going to clinch the playoffs until Game 79, I think a lot of people would understandably have maybe been like, what went wrong? How are we not first in the division? How are we not first in the conference? How are we not clinching a playoff spot on Game 70 or 67 or 68 instead of having to wait until Game 79? But alas, the Oilers have an opportunity tonight to get that X next to their name, and all they need to do is earn 1 point. 1 point against the lowly San Jose Sharks. So we're coming off a game in which they gave up 8 goals to the Minnesota Wild. Joel Eriksson scored 4. Kirill Kaprizov scored 2. The Wild are looking good, or did they just get a chance to play San Jose? For the Oilers, they looked really good against St. Louis, and now they have a chance to play San Jose. We'll have more on that, betting perspective, all that stuff coming up later. Also, yes, I'm going to be standing for the entire show. I'm going to be sore by the end of it. Also, I don't have a co-host today. No Liam, no Jay. We do have Jason Demers coming up in about 15 minutes, though, so hopefully he's able to help me out a little bit, and I'm going to be relying on all of you over in the YouTube chat. You're going to see my head down like this a lot as I go and read all your comments on YouTube, but the YouTube chat, as always, is brought to you by Odd Company Brewing and the all-new Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. Go online, go to liquorconnect.com, type in Odd Company Nation Beer, and find a liquor store near you that carries the delicious nectar of Oilers Nation. Over in the YouTube chat, a couple of super chats right off the jump. Ryan Spotkowski said, Cup year for Alex Plant. Northside Norm is in with $5. He said, Merry Clinchmas for Fan Appreciation Night. It is a Cup year. And listen, a Cup year wouldn't be complete without a little bit of adversity. And the Oilers have certainly gone through a lot of that, if you want to call it, over the last 3-4 weeks with the mountain of injuries. But we do have some good injury news that I'm going to get to in just a second. I see Rusty's in. He says, it's Clinchmas tonight. Only need 1, but we're going to get 2. Jeff Skinner says, don't worry. We are clinching tonight. And Wise Bray, I saw a question there about... Wiseberry, question about the line. We'll get to that. Lance Kane, my boy, says Tyler's long legs on a motorcycle would be so funny. I don't even know if that would work. I do have very, very long legs. Some of these motorcycles are pretty big, though. Like the one next to me, it comes like up past my hip, honestly. But anyways, they got a lot going on down here. And if you are a motorcycle head, is that the correct terminology? I honestly have no idea. But our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, come swing by, visit their booth. It's in the back corner over in Hall C, and they have some clearance price bikes just for the show. I'm seeing that one there. It has like a little bit of lime green on it. It's already sold. There's also one right in front of me that I'm told is a pretty big deal. It is the CF Moto 675 SS. It's only been in Canada for a week, and I got my eyes on it right now. The headlights look slick. There's a little bit of blue on the wheel, a little bit of blue on the side. It looks like quite the machine. But if you're a motorcycle person in the YouTube chat, can you maybe properly fill me in on how beautiful of a bike this is? They also have the 2025 Tenere 700. That is their feature bike for the show. A ton of other options on clearance. So if you got nothing going on this weekend, or even if you do, cancel those plans. Come on down to the motor show. Sherwood Ford is set up, or Ford, I should say, is set up in Hall C, and they got a bunch of new Ford models. And then here, Hall C, or Hall A, back of the corner, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine has a great setup. Your spot for everything outdoors this summer, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's boats, ATVs, side-by-sides, they got it all. And even if you're not in the market for a new one, they're your spot to get it fixed and tuned up. For the season, they will come to you, pick it up, drive it to the dealership, fix it up for you, drive it right back, as they do at Sherwood Ford, the Giant. Lance says, buy that bike. No, I can't. Tyler Mielek says, oh yeah, that's a sick bike. I'm looking at it right now. $9,999, brand new. Like I said, only been in Canada for about a week. Maybe I'll ask Jason Demers if he's a big motorcycle guy as well. But if you're swinging down in the next little bit, come to the back, say hi to me. I'll even let you on the show if you're here right now. That would be a crazy coincidence if one of you watching the show right now was indeed here. But let's kick things off with a little bit of the injury news. It is our lineup report, and it is brought to you by Oodle Noodle, celebrating 20 years. Platinum is the 20-year anniversary, which is why Oodle Noodle has the platinum pairing, 2 signature boxes and 2 spring rolls for just $20. And the Oilers lineup, I mean, it's looking better. I will say that. It is definitely not up to 100%. Leon Draisaitl skated today. He did not skate with a line, so that would lead you to believe he's not going to be in the lineup tonight. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was not out there for the Oilers either. So here are the updates, and actually credit to Tom Gazzola because he laid it out about as good as you can. Draisaitl remains out, likely plays before the playoffs. Likely plays before the playoffs, I think, is a pretty key word there. That word's doing a lot of work in that sentence. Again, no Nuge tonight. Also no Jake Wallman tonight, but he is expected to play a game before the playoffs. Stuart Skinner is going to back up tonight. He is not going to start. Calvin Pickard will get another start for the Oilers, but Skinner, according to Knobloch, is expected to get 2 of the team's final 3 games before the end of the regular season, which does presents a pretty interesting problem here for the Edmonton Oilers. A pretty interesting question, I should say, because, listen, a couple of these final 4 games are going to be against San Jose. How much do you read into a game against the San Jose Sharks? I do think their offense is relatively potent. Macklin Celebrini's coming off a 5-point game. Him and Will Smith in that game against the Minnesota Wild combined for 9 points in that hockey game. It was really something. They can score. So do you feel comfortable judging a Pickard, or I should say a Skinner return, on how he does in a game against the Sharks? If you give him that game against the LA Kings, do you kind of use that as like, okay, how does he stack up against the LA Kings? And that'll be the determining factor for who gets game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think potentially you do. But Skinner will back up tonight. He's not going to play. I'll maybe ask JD a little bit more about what he'd do with the goaltending. Trent Frederic is going to be out, and this is probably the worst of the update. Trent Frederic is out until game 1 or 2 of the Oilers' first round. So that's not ideal. The fact that they're already putting in language that leads you to believe he won't be ready to play game 1 of the playoffs. And listen, that trade is looking worse and worse the longer he goes without being in the lineup. Like, if you end up giving up, Warner, a second, a fourth, Shane Lachance's rights, whatever. It's really the second, fourth, and Warner to get Frederic retained, and to get Frederic, and all you end up having to show is 7 minutes of regular season time on ice, and he's not even ready for game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's a blunder. And listen, I was someone who sat there and was kind of, I was pounding the table saying Trent Frederic is a guy who could be a really, really good fit for this hockey team. But I mean, I didn't know the injury situation, and I guess there's a glass half full, glass half empty kind of way you could look at this. Like, if you want to cut the Oilers some slack, that's maybe a better way to phrase it. You could sit there and say, hey, they had a chance to look at the medical. Trent Frederic, the whole time, the expectation was he's going to miss a week, 2 weeks after the deadline, then he's back in the lineup. You got plenty of time to gear him up for a playoff run. It's obviously been delayed. He obviously re-injured himself coming back for that LA game, and in hindsight, it probably should have been like, hey, don't put him in the lineup for that one. Give him another game. But, I mean, you can't change what's in the past. And, again, in hindsight, that Trent Frederic deal at the moment looks bad. If he ends up playing a key role, the Oilers go to the Cup final, he scores 8 goals in the playoff run, then you're quite frankly not going to care. And if he ends up signing an extension that's relatively team-friendly because his value's pretty down, because he's been hurt now for half the season, then, again, that deal still has a chance to work out. I'm not, totally writing off that trade. I'm not calling for Stan Bowman's head because of the fact Trent Frederic has only played 7 minutes as an Edmonton Oiler, and he's been acquired now for basically a month or 5 weeks. It's just frustrating. And in the moment, I think it's fair to kind of raise an eyebrow and look at that trade and be like, did the Oilers maybe jump the gun, not get all the information? Were they a little bit too aggressive? I think those are all really, really fair things to say. So Draisaitl remains out. Skinner's backing up. Wallman is still out. Frederic out until game 1 or 2. Knoblauch did say that Evander Kane is closer. And then we got the good injury news. Mattias Ekholm will make his return to the lineup tonight. And Mattias Ekholm has not played a game for the Edmonton Oilers since March 26th. And actually, since the beginning of March, I believe he's only played 6 games. Regardless, 5-6 games in the last 5-6 weeks is not a lot for Mattias Ekholm. And it was asked a question earlier today, like, how concerned are you about the fact Mattias Ekholm isn't going to get into a lot of games before the Stanley Cup playoffs? And I think he is one of the guys, like, if Leon Draisaitl doesn't play again in this regular season, I have no doubts about the quality of hockey Leon Draisaitl is going to give the Oilers in games 1 and 2 against the LA Kings. Like, we've seen him in the past be at 40, 50, 60% and find ways to be effective. Mattias Ekholm's a different conversation. He's in his mid-30s now. He's played a lot of hockey. It's been half a season of him fighting illness and injury and various other things. There's no guarantee that when Mattias Ekholm steps back onto the ice that we get the same Mattias Ekholm that we saw in the playoffs last year or the regular season last year. The beginning of this year was a bit of a step back for Mattias Ekholm. And again, that compounded with his age, combined with all the injuries and the illness and the time missed, I think it's fair to sit there and be a little bit worried about what the Oilers could potentially be getting from Mattias Ekholm. But anyways, Wise Bray says, sorry if this is a dumb question, Tyler, but would you have chosen Ryan Donato over Trent Frederic? Probably not. And again, like, with the healthy dose of hindsight of being like, one guy is injured and one guy's healthy, sure, Ryan Donato would be actually playing games for this team. And again, with the hindsight of looking at a lineup that's had Kasperi Kapanen and Matthias Janmark play center for the last 2 weeks, yeah, probably adding another centerman like Ryan Donato, who is actually available, would have been smart. But bring yourself back to the deadline. Chicago wasn't willing to move off him for anything less than a first-round pick. You got Frederic for less than that. A second, a fourth, and Max Wanner still doesn't quite equal a first-round pick from the Edmonton Oilers. So, again, hindsight being what it is, you would love an available player. But still, Trent Frederic is a much, much better fit for this team in my eyes. And again, when they get him back healthy, I think he's going to make a really big impact. I think the 7 minutes he did play were really, really good. It was a really good 7-minute stretch. It's just, again, frustrating that that's kind of all we have to look at right now. Mulick says, hope he resigns for sure. Yeah, I hope he kind of sits there and goes like, hey, I owe the Oilers one. And he comes back on a deal. Maybe not like a Connor Brown deal. This guy's not signing for $1 million, but maybe Trent Frederic, considering his age, considering how the cap is going up, looks at the Oilers and says, hey, this is a chance to play with a ton of skill. This is a chance to show what I can do in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And if Edmonton goes, here's a 2-year deal at 3.75, I think there's a world Trent Frederic takes that, even if there's a Utah or whoever or an Anaheim that's sitting there going, we'll give you a 4-year deal at $4 million. I get it's hard to turn down $16 million, but if you go to Trent Frederic and say, hey, here's $7.5, $8 million guaranteed for the next 2 years, you can be a UFA again at age 29, I think it would be, and you have a chance to go on some long playoff runs and really boost up your value. I also think that's an opportunity that's generally pretty hard for or would be pretty hard for him to turn down. So, again, Trent Frederic, that is frustrating. If we want to focus on the positives, it is that Mattias Ekholm is back in the lineup. So with that, let me give you the lineup here for tonight. McDavid's going to center, Skinner and Brown once again. That trio against St. Louis played 11 minutes and 20 seconds at 5-on-5 last game, and I really liked them. Push that to the side. More on them in a second. Henrique will center Hyman and Arvidsson once again. That trio played a lot together as well. They were actually the leading line for time on ice at 5-on-5, and they got caved. Outscored 2-0, outshot 4-1. It wasn't the prettiest game from those three, so maybe some concerns about that line. Maybe would have liked to see a change there, but I also think it's a conversation of what's the change you even make, because your third line is Janmark, Podkolzin, and Perry. I like Podkolzin. Maybe you would have liked to see him get moved up, but then you're moving Hyman down, not giving Hyman help. It's a bit of a sticky situation. Noah Phillips going to stay in on the fourth line with the Edmonton Oilers. Max Jones, Kasperi Kapanen on his wing. So Kapanen not playing center. That gets a thumbs up from me. But again, this Oilers team still really, really depleted at this point. The D pairings are pretty interesting based on the skate, and maybe tells you a little bit about the status of Matthias Ekholm and just what percentage he's maybe at. Nurse with Bouchard, Kulak with Stetcher, and then Ekholm with Emberson. They have Dineen up with them right now. I mean, listen, they're saying Ekholm's ready. If Ekholm wasn't 75%, you probably just play Cam Dineen for this hockey game. It's not like they're at the point where they were last game where Jake Wallman's out and they're sitting there playing with 5 defensemen. They have an extra defenseman on the roster. They have 7 guys they could go to right now. They are choosing to play Ekholm over a fully healthy Cam Dineen. That probably means he's close to fully healthy. But then you see the fact he's playing on the third pair with Ty Emberson, a spot he basically hasn't played in all season. They're playing Nurse with Bouchard. They're really jumbling up the pairings here. And it's like, okay, why is Ekholm on the third pair? Was it just a practice thing? I mean, maybe, but even that I would kind of raise an eyebrow at and be like, why would you be so worried about that? But anyways, you can see him here from Bob. Pickard is going to get the start tonight, and that is your Oilers lineup. That brings me into, and I know JD is going to join us in a little bit here, but let's get to my one big take for Service Credit Union. The Service Big Share Contest is back. It is better than ever. It is your chance to win $1 million. And all you got to do is save money. Go to service.ca/win to find out more information. This contest ends at the end of the month. It is this simple. Every $500 you save gets you 5 entries into the Service Big Share Contest. And maybe, Aaron, I'll get you to chime in with me here on my one big take. But I'm looking at this McDavid, Skinner, and Brown trio. And, you know, on one hand, you're going to get an Evander Kane and a Leon Draisaitl back. And there's some other bodies coming into the lineup. But if this line plays well for the next couple of games, and maybe that is the biggest caveat we have to throw onto all of this, if this line plays well, do you not kind of want to see them get a shot in the playoffs? Like if they put together, and maybe it's hard because it's San Jose, but if you keep them together against Winnipeg and they pass that test, and you keep them together against LA, is this not an opportunity to really spread out some elite players in your lineup by saying, hey, if Connor can produce with Skinner and Brown, that opens up Hyman to play with someone else. That means Draisaitl can maybe have some better wingers. Like, do you kind of follow my logic there?
1,000%, dude. I feel like this team has the capabilities to then be incredibly deep down the middle. We've seen what Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can do as a third-line center with really whoever you get him. He's had chemistry with Pods, Arvidsson. He's done it with other guys. I think this team is crazy deep when Nuge is playing that 3C role. That even means Adam Henrique is playing 4C, which is a crazy thought when you look down the spine of the middle of your lineup. And that's what you want in the NHL playoffs, for me, is 4 solid centermen that you can trust in any situation. I know Jeff Skinner can score some goals. He's obviously going to be highly motivated to play in the NHL playoffs. He's never done it before. So I do think there's something with that. I, though, am a firm believer 97 is at his best with 18 on his wing, and vice versa. 18 is not the same player without 97. So I'm okay with the Jeff Skinner idea of him with Connor McDavid, but I don't think so about 28. I'm rolling with Zach Hyman. What about you?
And I do think ultimately they do go back to having Hyman on that wing for night one of the playoffs, and maybe where the conversation is more directed, like as good as Connor Brown has looked, is he really a guy that you want to trust with top line minutes in the playoffs? No. But is Skinner going to be the guy there? Can they trust Skinner? I know Bruce Kurlock kind of replied to one of my tweets and was like, hey, Skinner does some things that he still doesn't like and that the coaching staff probably wouldn't like come playoff time. But my point is, if you're that deep down the middle and you can spread out the talent that much, not that you're going to ever shelter Connor McDavid's minutes, and not that any other team's ever going to be like, maybe we don't have to put our best players out there against Connor McDavid. But if you can trust that McDavid, Skinner, and maybe it's Hyman, if you can trust Skinner up there to just survive and score a couple of big goals and he's not going to be a liability, then again, you're just putting some good talent lower in your lineup. Let's continue this conversation.
Ty, we always do talk about like the NHL playoffs. You need to score goals, and scoring goals is hard come the NHL playoffs. Jeff Skinner, Zach Hyman on 97's wing, that excites me.
Yeah. Let's get out to the Star Mechanical guest line. It's Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about them online by visiting them at starmechanical.ca. Jason Demers from the NHL Network, the Unscripted podcast with Adnan Virk joins me. What are we doing here? What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
What are you
Oh,
eating?
we're live. We're
Yeah,
live.
no, not pre-taping today, JD.
What's up? Let me get this live.
What are you munching on there?
Oh, a little yogurt. It's a little yogurt.
Little yogurt.
Little pregame meal before I go into the studio and talk with you, fella.
I'm at the Edmonton Motorcycle Show. Are you a motorcycle guy at all?
I mean, as much as the next guy, I think, but I just. Are you a big motorcycle fan?
No, it's I've never ridden a motorcycle. The fine folks at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are trying to convince me today. They're showing me all these cool bikes, but I am scared of falling.
Yeah, you're scared. I mean, you could look pretty on it and take some pictures for Instagram, and then everybody thinks you're riding a bike, so it's great.
Yeah, actually, that's probably not a terrible idea. I got my intern Reese here. Maybe I'll get him to snap some photos with me. I'll throw them up on Instagram. That's good thinking. Let's talk a little bit. Let's pick up the conversation I was having before you jumped on. Skinner's back up on that top line with McDavid. And listen, the Jeff Skinner conversation has been ongoing the entire regular season here. Out of the lineup, playing fourth line minutes. But basically from the 55 game mark on, Chris Knobloch's shown some more trust in him. Do you think Jeff Skinner has changed his ways enough that he can be trusted with a top line assignment on night one of the playoffs next to McDavid?
I think so. I think you need to, man, it's tough because they're by all likely accounts. I mean, they still have a chance at home ice against LA, but by all accounts, the way I'm looking at it, the way LA's playing, I mean, I feel like it's going to be interesting. So I just don't know how much room they have for error when it comes to the lineup against this LA Kings team. So, because, I just don't know if it's there. And I'm still pretty, convinced that this is what it's going to end up being for the matchup in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't really see it being any way other than LA versus Edmonton. So for me, I hope that's the case. I don't want to be too wishy-washy with it, but if he could play alongside McDavid and produce, I mean that's all you could ask for, and that's why they brought him in essentially. So people are basically asking, can we trust him to do what we signed him to do, which is play alongside McDavid and allow a lot more deeper, four lines that you can just roll. And I'm hoping that's what happens. It seems like he has been a lot better and he's kind of figured out his role. And I mean, it does take time. Listen, playing with Connor or playing with Leon is a tough assignment. As much as people think you just plug and play and you're going to produce, I mean, that's not the case. They play at a different pace than everybody else in the NHL, and they're just such dynamic players that you really need to learn how to play off of them. And I think he's understanding that and learning that a little bit more and a little bit better. So it seems like it's working out. So hopefully he can stay that way, because I mean, allowing him to play alongside Connor will be huge for not only matchups, but getting Leon to play with Arvidsson, and then you could throw Hyman up with McDavid and Skinner, and you can really get creative with the lines and make it really deep.
Stuart Skinner's not going to start tonight, still out with a concussion, but he is going to back up. And Chris Knobloch said the plan is to give him 2 starts before the end of the season, give Pickard probably the other one. But Stuart Skinner's missed a little bit of time here. And in that absence, Calvin Pickard's absolutely stepped up and carried the mail. Do you think there's a world where Calvin Pickard ends up being the game 1 playoff starter? And another kind of part of it I want to ask you is, we hear a lot, and actually the numbers somewhat support this, the Oilers seem to prevent chances better when Calvin Pickard is in net. Is there anything to a team playing a little bit differently or a little more defensively responsible when the backup's in net?
I mean, I just think the love for, not to say that guys don't love Skinner, but listen, Calvin Pickard is such a great teammate and one of the best teammates I've ever played with. So this is not an indictment on Skinner, but guys just love playing for him, and you just want to lay out, you want to play tight defensively, you want to get him those wins, and he's just given quality start after quality start, especially down this stretch. I mean, the way this seems to line up for me is, if they're looking to give Stuart Skinner 2 games, they're going to give him the Kings, the tough matchup, the Kings and the Jets, really get him dialed in, and then Hicks will play against San Jose twice, or they might flip it and Hicks might get this game, you'll give Skinner the Jets and then Skinner the Sharks to end the season, just to kind of really get dialed in, and because it's obviously a back-to-back. So yeah, that's just looking at that. I'm assuming Skinner gets the next game against the Jets. That's a good test for him, and then you'll give. Or you know what? Sorry, folks at home. You want Skinner to play against the Kings. You want Skinner to feel the Kings because you're going to get them in the playoffs. That's what you want. So I'm assuming his first game will be there, and then the last game of the season against the Sharks, and just get dialed in. But yeah, there could be a world in which Pick starts. It's goaltending's tough to get revved up, and coming into the playoffs, especially after you're missing some time, it's tough for a goalie to get his timing down. And again, it's the same thing with Jeff Skinner. Can you afford to put that risk? I mean, it's going to be a risky first couple games against the Kings, and especially if you don't have home ice advantage. And that's going to be on the coaching staff to be where they're most comfortable. And do they start Picks? And if he falters, they go right to Skinner, or do they give the net to Skinner right away? And I guess those two games are going to be telling for sure.
Going outside of Edmonton, the rest of the Western Conference playoff picture here, everyone's kind of doing the thing with St. Louis. And I know they've lost back-to-back games, but hey, still 12-2 in their last 14. Everyone's doing the thing where it's like, oh man, you don't want to play St. Louis in round one. They're red hot. They're peaking at the right time. And I'm sitting here and I understand that they are on this great run. They're playing a really good style of hockey. I also remember a year ago when everyone was having the same conversation about Nashville, who had won like 14 of 16 down the stretch. And it was like, whoa, Saros, this Preds team, be careful. They went out in round one. Are you a believer in the Blues, or do you think this is just a team who just happened to go on a hot streak at the end of the year?
No, it's two-part. I believe in them. I think this team has a lot of parts that can get them an upset. I think both of these wild card spots, the Blues and the Wild, are primed for upsets. I think this is a weird year. I think there's going to be more. Me and Ken Danico were talking on the NHL Network. I just think there's going to be more than one upset round one. I think two teams are going to get knocked out that we don't expect to. This is one of those years where, especially in the West is top to bottom. I think it's Jar Jar Binks with how many just top-end teams there are, especially in the Central. I mean, the Central is just a juggernaut all season. 5 teams out of the Central Division, and all of these teams, you look at Minnesota, comparatively to St. Louis, like look at the guys they have on that team. They've been injured all year and they've made it in the playoffs. We'll see tonight against Calgary, but I assume they're going to beat Calgary, at least get a point. Kaprizov coming back. This is a team that can upset somebody, and St. Louis Blues as well, man. They've been doing what they've been doing, missing Colton Parayko all season. Binnington's really coming into form. I think you always see after a big winning streak like this, the team will drop a couple games afterwards because it's really the come down from this. But I think it's kind of a good timing that they lose these games. They might lose a couple more before the end of the season, but they're just kind of gathering their steam again and kind of regrouping and probably refining their game, because when you win that many games in a row, a lot of the times you have to win some games where you don't play the right way, and you kind of start believing you're the best team in the world and you'll never lose again, and you start cheating a bit. So then you got to get back to your fundamentals, which got you on and started you on that winning streak. So that's kind of where I think St. Louis is at. So I'm not worried. But yeah, I think this is a team that could very well upset somebody. And especially if they finish in that second wild card spot and they get the Jets, we know that the Jets have only won one playoff series since 2018. So they have only won one round. So this is going to be a big pressure season for them, and who knows how they respond. Connor Hellebuck's doing Connor Hellebuck things in the season, but we know how he's been in the playoffs. So this is going to be a test for him as well. And I think the Blues are kind of in a good position and aren't worried whoever they get in their first round. I can't hear you.
There we go. I'm back. Now we're good. We got a question this week that was, who was the biggest positive surprise in the NHL this season? And for me, it was hard to answer anyone but the Montreal Canadiens. For them to make the playoffs this early in their rebuild, Ivan Demidov's coming over. The vibes are sky high. Would there be another answer for you outside of the Habs? And if your answer is the Habs, are they one of those teams you think can pull off an upset? I mean, going up against a 110-point team in Washington is going to be obviously tough.
Yeah, but Washington is kind of has some holes as of late, and their goaltending duo in Washington was just out of this world all season, and now they've kind of regressed. And the Montreal Canadiens are have a lot of belief in that room, and they have a great building in the Bell Center. So for me, it's you never know in the NHL. An 8 seed, we've seen so many 8 seeds go on to win cups, and I don't think Montreal's a team that has enough to win a cup, but they're going to make it tough on the Capitals. And who knows how that'll shake out, because right now Montreal could still jump ahead of the Ottawa Senators and end up getting the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, which would be another one that is crazy. So I don't think the Eastern Conference, I don't think this setup is how it's going to finish. I think there's going to be a little bit more jockeying for position. And we'll see kind of how it all shakes out. But yeah, Montreal has that team. This is probably other than the Columbus Blue Jackets, who sadly probably, aren't going to make the playoffs, was the two kind of coolest stories of the season, with just the way they're getting there and the way they're battling and the way they've against all odds. And now they get Ivan Demidov, who's going to play whenever he gets his work visa. And Ivan Demidov, from all accounts and what I've heard from guys that I know in the KHL, is he is a stud, and he is NHL ready now. So we're going to see how he does, and he's going to get top 6 minutes. So, can he do something that Cale Makar did when he came into the league and really just kind of be NHL ready and really provide a spark for this Montreal Canadiens offense that already can score in bunches? So, yeah, that's kind of my team, and I think everybody in the league would probably agree, and fans, that this is kind of the team that surprised the most people and is a fun story to watch.
Okay, two more. One of them comes in from the chat, but there's one I wanted to ask you as well. Looking at this class of rookies, it's kind of unique how there's the defenseman, the goalie, and the forward, Celebrini, Hudson, and Wolf. If you had to bet on which one of these three happens first, what would you pick? A Dustin Wolf Vezina, a Lane Hudson Norris, or a Macklin Celebrini Hart Trophy?
Macklin Celebrini Hart Trophy.
You didn't even need to think about that all that long, hey?
No, he's just, it's going to depend on the team around him, but what he's done this season with that roster, and nothing against any of the guys in that team, but he is incredible. I mean, we look at a big stat we quantify as, puck battles won, and he's already in the top 5 in the NHL in puck battles won, and the company that he is amongst in that group is something incredible. Nico Hischier, Austin Matthews, all this top end talent, and he's right there with them. And he's only going to get better. He's 18 years old. Lane Hudson is 21. Dustin Wolf is a little bit older than that as well. I just think Macklin Celebrini's ceiling is we haven't even scratched it yet. He's still on the first floor, and he's got 10 floors to go. So for me, it's Macklin.
That game the other day against Minnesota, when San Jose scores 7 goals, but it's Celebrini and Smith combining for 9 points. So obviously tonight the Oilers are taking on the Sharks again here. Is it fair to expect that this Sharks team is, I don't want to say checked out, I think that's an unfair way to phrase it, but do you think they have enough in them to battle against an Oilers team that's going to be hungry tonight trying to clinch the playoffs?
Yeah, they're going to battle. They always listen. This team, Ryan Warsofsky's got them in a good place. You got to think too, when you have this many young guys, a lot of them are playing for jobs next year. A lot are playing so they don't have to go down to the minors and play a playoff run with the San Jose Barracuda, which I think most of them should think about that once the season's over. But this is a team that I think the rebuild's going to be a lot shorter than people think, and they always kind of, play Edmonton tight. And even though the last 12 games is 11-1 for Edmonton, but it's this season was 3-2 and 3-2, I think, both games, and they're going to play hard, and Macklin's kind of at the forefront of that. And you also got to think that, no Leon, that's a little bit less scoring. I know Matthias Ekholm's in tonight, so that'll be a boost for Edmonton. And it's just one of those things. You never want to take them lightly. And I think for Edmonton, these are all primer games. I think this is a game they need to really win, because, you're playing Winnipeg, LA back-to-back, and I think those will be playoff-style games, especially the Kings game. This is one you want to have, so you can't take your foot off the gas. And I don't think San Jose will sit back. They're going to give you chances. They're young. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to give up a ton of chances, but they're going to be pushing to get some chances too. So I think they have to mind their P's and Q's And for Edmonton, it's going to be all about scoring first. Put them on their heels, and if they score first, they'll have their way with them. But if they let them get confidence and keep them around, it could always be interesting.
Matthias Ekholm was the last one I wanted to go to here. He makes his return to the lineup. He's played 6 games in the last 6 weeks for the Edmonton Oilers. He's 34 years old. This is a guy who's been, their most important defenseman the last 2 playoff runs here. Is it fair, though, to be a little bit concerned about what they could get from a 34-year-old defenseman who looked like he had taken a bit of a step back earlier in the season and then has been battling health issues for the last month and a half?
Yeah, it's been a trying season for Matthias. And it's a little worrisome. He kind of came back a bit. He's been hampered by something. Hopefully they're not doing a Trent Frederic and he is 100% healthy and ready to go, and they're not rushing it. And I think he's a veteran enough guy that he knows that his body's ready, and he should know, and he shouldn't rush this because they need him for the playoffs again. It's kind of something I've alluded to with this team. They're a little banged up all season. They just got to get healthy. If they lose the last 4 and they lose the next 3 games and just play everybody for the last game, I don't care. I think it's a team that will be veteran enough to kind of understand where they are and how healthy they are. So I hope he's healthy. They need him. If they want to go on a deep run, they need him for the whole playoffs, not just for the first round or the first game or the first 2 games. So I'm hoping he's healthy and we don't have a Trent Frederic situation, because that would be catastrophic.
Who'd you have this week on Unscripted?
Barrett Hayton.
Ooh, Utah.
Are we not talking Trent Frederic?
Well, I was going to throw you that. Like, is it fair to criticize this front office for this thing? Like, he comes back, plays 7 minutes. You gave up a handful of assets for him. Like,
wow.
Is that just bad luck that his injury didn't recover as fast as you'd like? Or is that just the Oilers didn't do their due diligence?
I think it's both. I think it's on the player as much as I think, on the management that, if Trent wasn't ready to go, and I know you get traded for a lot of assets, you feel the pressure in the building, and you're probably in the training room, and you feel good enough, but you're not 100% sure, and there's a little bit of pressure from the top, to the training staff to be like, hey, like, how's he doing? Is he going to be healthy? And that kind of just might cloud your decision. But I don't think, from getting hurt on your first shift back, whether it was the same injury or another injury that just popped up, I think whatever it was, if it was another injury that's because your body's compensating, so you're not 100%. And if it's the same injury, well, that's a huge that's just on everybody. But yeah, for the trade itself, I mean, how the hell are you trading for somebody that you don't think is going to be ready come playoff time? And this is somebody that you invested a lot of capital in, and draft capital and assets, and you need somebody like this if you want to make a push come playoff time. So it's like, I'm a little surprised at how bad it actually was. I think we all knew he was injured, but I'm surprised at how bad it actually was, and whether this is a new injury that popped up. I think if it's a new injury, it's something that he's compensating from his old injury. So I just think it's something that should have been addressed, and hopefully he's back for the last game of the season and then into the playoffs, because he's a big piece. I mean, the minutes that he did play, a little positive silver lining, the minutes he did play, he was super effective. And he was we saw glimpses, but he battled through an injury. And I wonder if it's a Charlie horse or something else, but every shift he had, he was in the mix. He was hitting physical, going to the net, creating havoc. And I thought he was effective for the 7-8 minutes he played. But again, you need him 100%, not just limping on one leg or saving himself and protecting himself from further injury. So yeah, so a little tough for me to digest that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's annoying too, or it's concerning, I should say. You already hear Chris Knobloch saying he's not playing the rest of the regular season, should be ready for game 1 or 2, and it's like, holy shit, we're at the point he might not even be ready for game 1. Like, how did you let him play that game against the LA Kings if that one little tweak on that first shift was enough now to keep him out potentially where he can't be ready for game 1 of the playoffs? Like, that's insanity.
Oh, I mean, first shift as well. Like, that's, you can't recreate a game, but like, I don't know what what they were doing in practice with him, or if he had went full speed before that game. But typically, when you go full speed in your first shift and you get hurt, I mean, it's because you haven't really pushed it, or you might be, holding back from something, and then you get that adrenaline pumping and you push it and you injure yourself even more. And that's just a big blow, because he is an effective player. He's a really good player, but if he's going to be hurt, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, there's a lot of other guys that were available that could have came in and done this. So it's tough for me, and I'm hoping he's healthy, because I hate seeing guys that battle injuries. I was somebody that battled through a lot of stuff, and I also didn't tell a lot of my teams when I was injured and said, I'll be fine, because I was worried to come out, and then always made things worse. So that's kind of a little bit on him, but also a little bit on, like we said, management doing your due diligence, talking to the trainers on the other teams and making sure that it's something that's not serious and not lingering. And, is he somebody that's going to hide his injury and say he's fine and then just push through, gut it out, and hurt himself even more?
All right, next week when we chat with you, it's going to be playoff preview time. Giddy up, eh?
I'm in Portugal next week.
Oh, what the hell? You're taking time off right around the playoffs?
It's my dad's birthday, man. Family first.
Does your dad live in Portugal?
Oh, we're going to Portugal.
All right. What are you rocking there? Is that flavored? You're just a straight non-sweetened yogurt? Cream on top. Organic. Wow, that looks bougie as hell. I don't shop in that section.
Hey, listen. You see this body? Come on now.
I can see your shoulders.
Body like a melted candlestick. Come on now.
All right, JD. Thanks for popping on, man. I guess we won't talk to you next week. We'll talk to you when the Oilers take on the Kings.
Oh, I might answer from Portugal. You know me. Well, I like a exotic place.
Well, so Liam and I are planning a thing that I can't say publicly yet, but it's going to be on the first day of the first playoff game, and we're going to be live for a really, really, really long time. We would love for you to pop on during that mega stream.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, I'll shoot you a text. All right, thanks, JD. See ya.
Boys.
All right, there you go. Jason Demers from the Unscripted Podcast with Adnan Verk. Find that wherever you get your podcast from, and you can also find him on the NHL Network. It is starting to get really, really busy here at the motorcycle portion of the Edmonton Motor Show. I keep I'm not really watching my monitor all that much because I want to look at the camera, but looking at the camera means I see Reese, our intern, and he just keeps laughing, which I'm assuming means there's shit going on behind me, but of course I don't actually know what's going on. Mulek says 24-hour stream. Let's go. We're definitely not going to do 24 hours. And we are clearing some hurdles first. But yeah, we're working on something good. Taking notes from the What Chaos boys. They're our inspiration for absolutely everything. So for sure. Okay, let's continue along. We've got a couple more segments we need to get to today before we wrap up the show. First off, the menu. What is on the line tonight? The menu is brought to you by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand.
It is an all-in-one system that includes 4-quart, 6-cup Tempware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. You can re-crisp, bake, max crisp, air fry, do it all with the Ninja Crispy. Prep, cook, store anything from crispy favorites to one-dish personal meals. Visit their website with the link in our description and stay tuned because one of you in the YouTube is going to go and win a Ninja Crispy, ninjakitchen.com. The menu tonight, what is on the line? The Edmonton Oilers can clinch a playoff spot with a win or an overtime loss or a Calgary loss of any kind. Their magic number is down to 1, which means the Oilers either need to accumulate 1 point or have Calgary miss out on 1 point. The only way the Edmonton Oilers miss the playoffs is if they lose all 4 games in regulation and Calgary goes 4-0. Clinchmas is tonight. It's fan appreciation night down at Rogers Place. You're playing the San Jose Sharks, a team that just gave up 8 goals to the Minnesota Wild. I think it's going to be a fun night down at Rogers Place. Washington can also clinch the 1 seed in the East with a win. And if you're someone who's still holding out hope for the Oilers to get home ice advantage in round 1 of the playoffs, you're going to want to keep an eye on the LA Kings game. They do not play tonight, but they take on Colorado tomorrow. So a Saturday game against Colorado, and then Monday, Edmonton, LA. So you can maybe sort of start to chart a path where Edmonton wins tonight, LA loses tomorrow, Oilers beat the Kings in regulation. The two teams would be tied with 2 games to go in the regular season. Edmonton, of course, would also have to beat Winnipeg in that calculation. So again, it's tough. You need LA to basically go 1-3. You have to go 4-0. And then you got a shot at it. You have a shot. You're telling me there's a chance. Some overtime points could obviously skew that as well. Ryan S. is in and says, I want the X. We need the X. Avi says the Avs aren't playing for anything, which I do think is a pretty fair point as well. Also, Calgary takes on Minnesota. I believe that is tonight. And then Minnesota is going to be taking on Vancouver tomorrow. So if you're someone like Davin in our YouTube who says he wants to see the Flames get in, Calgary has to win in regulation, and then they're going to need Minnesota to lose in regulation to Vancouver. If that were to happen, Calgary, if they win their game in hand as well, would be 1 point back of the Wild with 2 games to go. It's not happening for the Calgary Flames. I would imagine they lose tonight. But back to tonight's hockey game. It is a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. Hockey fans helping hockey fans. Again, come on down to the Expo Centre. See them this weekend at the Edmonton Motor Show. And as they always do, they provided some game notes for tonight.
Connor Brown is heating up right now. He has 3 goals in his last 5 games.
Jeff Skinner has 7 points in his last 10 games. He's making a real case for himself to be in a playoff lineup.
McDavid is back. He returned on Wednesday with a 3-point game. That's his 12th 3-point plus game of the season. Go Oilers!
All right, let's continue the game day conversation. It is everybody's favorite segment. It is the Bet365 Game Day Betting Challenge. Breaking news from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner and every suspenseful moment in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the app, use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. The Bet365 Game Day Betting Challenge. Myself, Liam, we are neck and neck. There are only tonight, Monday, and then the final game against San Jose. 3 more games to go in the betting challenge. Liam and I, again, very close. Jay, very, very far in the rear view mirror. The rear view mirrors on these motorcycles aren't good enough for you to see how far back Jay is. But our picks for tonight, also, Jay sent his in the format of an MP4 earlier today because he had to screen record himself scrolling through all the legs on his same game parlay. But AB, do we have mine? I am taking a shot here. I'm viewing this basically as my chance to win the competition because I think the Oilers are going to smoke them. I think the over is going to hit. So give me Edmonton minus 2.5, over 6.5 goals. Bush 3 shots, Arvidsson 3 shots, Connor McDavid 2 points. I think Edmonton pours on the shots on goal. I think they pour on the goals and the offense in general. And quite honestly, I could see them winning this game like 7-2 tonight. So yeah, I like it. 12-1 plus 1,200. The boys aren't here, so I'll give you their picks. Liam is going with simple. Connor McDavid 3+ points. He did it against St. Louis. Why can't he do it again? I'll be totally honest with you all. I'm absolutely tailing Liam on this bet. I'm probably going to play this with the puck line and just ride heavy on that. And here we go. What did Jay cook up? Okay, good. We didn't actually have to play the. Do we play the MP4? Or is there more? Oh my God, there is. Jesus. So he's got Bush 3 shots, Podkolzin in goal, Arvidsson goal, puck line, over 4.5, Nurse point, Bush point, 2 points for Connor McDavid, and 2 shots on goal for Darnell Nurse. I mean, like, again, if you built this without Podkolzin's goal, it's probably still like 50-1. I don't understand why he went 80-1. I don't understand a lot of this, but Jay's trying to take a lead with just a couple of days to go in the Bet365 Game Day Betting Challenge. There you go. Shout out to our friends at Bet365. Couple more things to cross off the board here before we wrap up today's edition of the show. Let's do a little what's trending for our friends at Douglas Mattress, douglas.ca/nation if you want to get yours and sleep as good as I do every single night. Great value starting at just $599 and free shipping across the country through their convenient mattress in a box technology. More than 250,000 Canadians own a Douglas, and it's a company that started right here in Edmonton. If you will all humor me for a second, I have been standing doing this show for basically an hour. I have not had a chance to check the Masters leaderboard, and I desperately want to do so. Justin Rose is in first. Okay. Rory is 6 under today. Wow. Canadian Corey Connors in a tied for third. He's 2 under today. That's good. How's my other Canadian Taylor Pendrith doing? He's even, but he's 3 shots off the cut. Probably needs an eagle on the back 9 to make it. Russell Henley went crazy today, 4 under. Okay. Again, I'm shamelessly doing this. I know none of you really care about how the players I bet on are doing. Justin Thomas, 2 under today. Walk Neiman's 1 under. Let's go. Let's go. Tommy Fleetwood, 4 under. What a day. What a day. Shane Lowry, 4 under. I might need to check my Bet365 account. Oh, what's up, AP?
Max Homa, -2 on the day. Looking like he might make the cut. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood for that. Sorry, I'm literally checking the status of a few wagers here because, again,
I have it on the TV here. I have it on the laptop
I'm so
next
jealous
to
of
me.
you.
I love Masters.
Hey, what's up? They're a nation. There's some Oilers fans in here. What's up, boys? Do you guys want to come give a score prediction for tonight? Yeah, I got you. Yeah, all right. I mean, this is kind of the point of doing live on location. Oilers Sharks tonight. What's the final score going to be?
Oh man, it's the Sharks, so I think it's going to be an easy 5-3 game.
5-3. That's not that easy, but all right. What do you think? What's the score?
3-2, I think. 3-2. Yeah. Let's go 4-3.
4-3. I mean, I was predicting 7-2. You guys are very, very pessimistic. But anyways, enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the Edmonton Motor Show. There you go. Yeah, go Oilers, boys. Go Oilers. All right. What's trending? There you go. I did the Masters leaderboard. Oh, the Jays lost in extra innings yesterday, but I don't even care about that. They took 3 of 4 from the Boston Red Sox. That game featured 14 missed baller strike calls. 12 of them went against the Toronto Blue Jays. The umpiring had an impact of 2 runs for the Boston Red Sox and -0.5 for the Toronto Blue Jays. An absolute joke. The Jays got robbed of a 4-game sweep against the Boston Red Sox. The other thing I had in my What's Trending is that I went golfing yesterday, and that made me very happy. That's trending in my own personal life. But the golf season's back. That makes me very, very happy. All right, AB, I'm going to bring you back on. Aaron's going to be doing pre and post game tonight. It's a 7:30 puck drop between the Oilers and Sharks.
Yes, I do believe so. Friday night pre-gaming, me and Zach Lang. Tyler, my question to you, though, how did you shoot yesterday? How'd it go?
So I was a little nervous. Keep in mind, I'm an 8 handicap. So if I break 80, I'm that's solid. That's a good round for me. So I bogeyed the first 4 holes, and then I went par, 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 birdie. So I shot a 39 on the front. Not bad.
Good,
not a
dude,
bad
for your first round of the season.
Yeah.
That's dangerous because I know you. You're very. This boy loves golf. This man here is a simple man. He loves Odd Company Nation beer, everyday lager. He loves the Oilers, and he loves hitting the Lynx and the Blue Jays. Pretty much right there. Tyler, my bet of the day, Jeff Skinner. Tell me if I'm talking crazy here. For 3 shots is +128. He hasn't hit it in 3 straight games, but that is way too juicy for me to kind of turn that one down. I have no real reason to think he'll hit that because he hasn't done it in 3 in a row.
Playing with
it's
McDavid.
A vibe check.
Playing with McDavid. I like that. Give me your Sherwood Power Sports and Marine key to victory for tonight.
Close it out after 40 minutes. I start the pregame show or the postgame show during the 3rd period. We just turned it into a live watch along Friday night. Watch Zach and I crush a couple brewskis. And that actual key to victory, don't get hurt. Once again, it's just my key to survival is the rest of the season. There's no key to victory. It's key to surviving and staying healthy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say crush their spirit early. Similar thing to you. Like JD said, score first, get them on their heels. If Connor McDavid can just go rip around one of the no-name defensemen on the San Jose Sharks and find the back of the net early, again, they don't have Askarov like they did last time they were in Edmonton, so I believe tonight's going to be either Alexander Gorgiev or Georgi Romanov. Again, just get to him early in this hockey game, and you're going to be okay. It's unconfirmed, but looking like Georgi Romanov, by the way. So, yeah, just crush their spirit early. Simple.
It's the San Jose Sharks. It's game 79 of the season. Let's not overthink this one. Let's wrap it up after 40 minutes.
I like that. Speaking of wrapping up, that is going to do it for us out here at the Edmonton Motor Show. Again, we are on the motorcycle side of things. This is out in Hall A. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine is out in, I think you'd call it the back west corner of the event center. I'm very good at my directions. Ford is set up with a bunch of brand new Ford models over in Hall C as well. I got a little bit of information on that too. You can find Sherwood Ford in Hall C with the Edmonton Ford Dealers Ford exhibit, and you can get a show exclusive $500 voucher card that can be used towards the purchase of an in-stock new Ford or factory order at Sherwood Ford. So that goes until June 30th. But again, go check them out in Hall C. Get that $500 voucher. And then meanwhile, here at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, they got a bunch of bikes priced to clear out. They also have the CF Moto 675 SS. It's only been in Canada for a week. I got my eyes on it right now. It's got the tinges of blue around it. It is a beautiful, beautiful bike. But come on down, check them out. Tell them Oilers Nation sent you. But that is a wrap on today's edition of the show. Oh, no, it's not.
Tyler, we got 100 likes. What bike are you buying?
Oh, I'll check price tags. What's this one here? This one here is only 8, and it's very big. Can you pan hard enough, Reese? I don't know if I'm allowed to sit on them, but this is a pretty big bike.
Look at that setup, man. Those are some nice bikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of bikes here. They got like dirt bikes and stuff too, so there's a lot going on. Great camera work, Reese. All right, thank you for all the likes, everybody. Watch pre-gaming tonight. Starts at 6:30 with Aaron and Zach. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the end of the Masters. Going to be electric. And we'll chat with you all again on Monday when the Oilers have clinched a playoff spot. Oil up.